Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the day transitions to a starlit sky over Mumbai, a city that epitomizes dreams, it's my great honor to welcome you to Forbes India W-Power, a celebration of India's top self-made women. Every year since 2020, Forbes India has been putting the spotlight on self-made women who are redefining the boundaries of success and innovation with their achievements. Today, we gather to recognize their vision and success. With concerted efforts, there has been a marked shift in the number of women in the workforce of India, across corporate and public sectors, entrepreneurship, and social work. The rise of women as visionary leaders is reshaping our nation's social, economic, and cultural fabric. India boasts of over 13.5 to 15.7 million women-owned businesses, providing direct employment to 22 to 27 million individuals. The proportion of self-employed women has surged to 70.1%, up from 60% in 2001-2022. It's projected that by 2030, the number of women-owned businesses could rise to 31.5 million, providing direct employment to approximately 50 to 60 million individuals. Beyond business, women in India are making significant strides in various fields, including arts, sciences, sports, politics, and social activism. From breaking records in sports to leading groundbreaking scientific research, from advocating for social justice to influencing policy making, women across the country are emerging as role models and inspiration for future generations. Our self-made W-Power list reflects these achievements and milestones and journeys of women from diverse backgrounds. It's about recognizing the powerhouses, the change makers, women who defy expectations and carve their own paths. And now, before we get this evening rolling, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our partners whose unwavering support has made this evening possible. The celebration of Forbes India W-Power Self-Made Women is in partnership with Barclays Private Wealth, workspace partner IndyCube, and associate partners Ample Mission and Reliance Industries Limited. Please use hashtag Forbes India W-Power to share your favorite moments on social media. We are at Forbes India on X, Facebook, and Instagram. The show is being broadcast live for the ones who couldn't join us tonight. You can watch it live on Forbes India's YouTube channel or simply on ForbesIndia.com. So get ready to immerse yourself in a symphony of perspectives and embark on this extraordinary journey with us in the city of Mumbai, a city reflective of the resilience and diversity of the women we celebrate tonight. Mumbai's spirit, its boundless energy and enduring dreams, mirrors our esteemed women leaders' tenacity and transformative power. To call the evening open, I would like to call Forbes India's assistant editor, Neha Bothra, on stage for the opening address. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Neha Bothra.
On behalf of Forbes India, I'm honored to welcome each of you as we celebrate the trailblazing achievements of some exceptional self-made women. To be clear, there are self-made men, and we acknowledge their contributions. But a brutal reality is that even in 2024, it is easier to be a self-made man than a self-made woman, because of the gender barriers and biases that still prevail. Over the decades, the context may have changed, but the challenges are largely the same. For instance, to this day, many women founders claim they face funding discrimination. According to a report by NQB, between June 2023 and February 2024, startups raised $6.6 billion. And how much of it do you think was invested in companies run by female founders? Well, only $300 million. That is 4.5% of the total funding pool. In fact, the report highlights that India ranks 135th out of 146 countries in gender parity. So we have a very good reason to have an exclusive list of women leaders who have risen to positions of power and influence through merit and resilience alone. They have conquered social dogmas and are paving the way for equal opportunities for men and women. As Brian Carvalho, editor Forbes India, says, and I quote, "The Forbes India W-Power list of self-made women has achievers of all hues, business founders, professionals who worked their way to the top, authors, bureaucrats bringing change via technology and infrastructure creation, those driving social good and social change, as well as those standing up for the oppressed and the underdog, and a few underdogs themselves. In this spirit, we have thoughtfully curated insightful panels and fireside chats to discuss and learn from visionaries as they share their experiences to inspire many more women to dream big and challenge the status quo. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha, for setting the stage for our event. I would request you to kindly remain with us for the next segment that promises to be as enlightening as it is inspiring, a special chat on leading from the top, striving for transformational change inside out. This conversation, beyond the conventional, will explore the nuanced challenges and triumphs leaders encounter in their journey to the pinnacle of success. We will address barriers, biases, and the creation of inclusive environments. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our distinguished speakers, Hina Nagarajan, Managing Director and CEO, Diageo, and Ashwini Bhide, Managing Director, Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation, to kindly join us on stage. Neha, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Ashwini, Hina, thank you so much for joining us today. We are talking about transformation and what it really takes to drive transformation in such disruptive times. You as women have done exactly that over the years. More so because you are in fields which are traditionally and even otherwise led by men. Hina, in fact, you lead a company for the very first time in India as CEO of an alcohol beverage company. So what really excited you about the offer when you first said yes to it?
I knew this question was coming. I think it was two things. I was coming back to India after 7-8 years of being out. And it was two things. One was, I think, just the opportunity for business growth in a very fast-growing, rapidly premiumizing business category. And the other, I think, was the opportunity of normalizing our category, right? And really trying to change the perception of this industry in the country. And on the business side, I mean, when I came in, my mandate was, you need to drive top-line growth. And my mandate was double-digit growth. So we set out a strategy for double-digit growth, reshaping our portfolio to leverage this premiumization. Some of you may have seen our results. I mean, the team's done an incredible job. We've actually tripled our overall business growth. We've doubled our premium portfolio growth, and we grew about 20% the last 3 years on the premium end. We've become a debt-free company. We have issued declared dividend for the first time since the acquisition way back in 2013. Our brands are performing really competitively. But we felt that that was not enough. We felt that we need to actually give life to our purpose of celebrating life every day, everywhere, and with everyone. And therefore, not just financial performance, but we really want to be the change that we want to see in our industry. So we launched our Diageo in Society goals. And these are really about adding value to all our stakeholders, be it through sustainability, be it through inclusion and diversity, and also through fabulous returns to our shareholders, and building a company and a culture where our employees can really thrive. So we do have a culture where our employees are very passionate about our purpose, our brands, and we have made significant strides in the areas of sustainability and inclusion, diversity. So I feel super proud of my team that they have really sort of elevated themselves to this new strategy, the new goals, and that we are making a difference.
Ashwini, we've seen Bombay transform to Mumbai, and you have been at the forefront of so many infrastructure projects. Tell us a bit about what it takes to address gender stereotypes. In your role specifically, you are dealing with men, you're dealing with unruly politicians at times. Tell us a bit about how you hold your ground, how do you address biases, and what you have seen over the years when it comes to accepting leaders to be women.
Hello. Actually, I belong to Indian Administrative Service of 1995 batch. And in that capacity, I have played diverse roles. But predominantly, I have remained in infrastructure sector, urban infrastructure from 2008 onwards. And I continued there because I could deliver, so I was made to continue. But this challenging the stereotyping starts from the very beginning of entering the service, because I come from a very small town of Western Maharashtra. I studied in very small towns, and that time nobody could even think that women would join the civil services, because joining the civil services itself was a kind of a taboo. That time people thought it is something which is beyond their reach. And in that area of where I studied, for typically, if we are a bright student, then as a woman you can opt for a medicine sector. So nobody thought of that. So it started right from then. After 10th, I myself decided that I will join civil services, and the challenging the stereotype started from them. Then I entered the service, and after that, again, even in service, though you belong to a premier service, so probably stereotyping is less than what other women face, because by virtue of being in the service, you get certain positions, irrespective of your gender. But once you are in the service, then certain roles are, kept secure for women. So generally, women officers will find them in social sector. So you are good as Secretary Women and Child Development, you are good as certain sectors where men themselves don't want to, lead. So these roles are kept for women, though not directly, but indirectly this kind of discrimination happens. And because so much of internalizing of these values happen over a period of time, that women leaders, women officers also think that they are not good for certain roles which are meant for women. And urban infrastructure is probably one such role where women officers themselves won't venture into that. But when I got that opportunity, then that itself was kind of challenging the stereotype. And I started functioning from 2008 onwards, and our team started delivering many projects. I worked with 3 premier institutions of Government of Maharashtra in Mumbai. That was MMRDA. I worked there for 5 years. Then I took the managing director position in Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation. There I worked for 5 years. For some reasons, I had to move out. But again, I was given the responsibility of BMC and the Coastal Road project. So it means that the way I started working, the way I started team building, probably government also had the faith that I would deliver infrastructure projects, and this is how I kept on getting those jobs. And we established a pattern, because doing such projects in a brownfield and thriving city like Mumbai, which is financially very active, and you can't stop the pace of the city, and still you have to do these projects. And these projects are always much more engineering plus, I call them. They are beyond engineering. They need so many other efforts. But we started working, and again, I can't take credit only for myself. It was the whole team which was working, and they delivered. So every stage was like defying the stereotypes. And as you know, when we work in this environment, it is much different than a private sector company where you know the stakeholders and how to deal with them. But in government, in a public sector scenario, especially in urban infrastructure, you have to deal with many stakeholders, and they come from all, right from the elite citizen groups to the slum dwellers, right from the contractors and various vendors to the political leaders. And you have to deal with them. You have to find out ways through negotiations. Sometimes you have to change. So your decision making has to be very dynamic. And while doing that, you have to be within the 4 walls of rules and regulation. There are vigilance aspects, there are audit aspects, and everything you have to follow. You have to follow the procedures so that there is absolutely no, any charge or any kind of allegations. So that also you have to follow. Plus you have to follow the deadlines. So it's a tough job, and you have to deal with these stakeholders without losing your cool. So at times you have conflicts, at times you need a lot of convincing power. You also need patience, especially when you deal with common people whom you are displacing because of the project, whom you need to rehabilitate. So you can't do things forcefully. You have to talk to them, you have to give them time. So that is one thing. Sometimes with the political leaders, you have to be very firm. Sometimes you go into some kind of a conflict. But ultimately, the aim is to deliver the project. So find solutions. And finding solutions takes you beyond a conflict. You have to manage the conflict, and you have to bring all stakeholders to one final kind of acceptance. So my job involves all these things, and we have been doing it successfully so far. So I think that's all about it.
Indeed. Hina and Ashwini, you've absolutely set the tone for the conversation, and I'll pick threads from your individual responses to that question. Very interesting, you pointed out how the company is now debt-free. At the time when you took over the company, of course, debt overhang was a problem. There were strategic concerns as well, and you brought about a whole lot of transformation with implementation of strategies which have paid out. Tell us a bit in detail about the transformation you brought about on the business front as a business leader.
Yeah, in 2021, when I came in, we, like I said, the mandate was double-digit growth, and it was, profitable, sustained double-digit growth. So our strategy was launched in October in 2021, and we had 3 strategic pillars for the strategy. The first one was really reshaping our portfolio and, leveraging the premiumization that we are seeing in this country. And the other 2 pillars were building an organization of the future. I mean, we've got, new generation employees, we've got various stakeholders, so how do we create an organization that makes them thrive? And the third pillar was really playing a more ambitious role in society through our Diageo in Society goals. On the portfolio, I mean, it was really, we sold off, our lower end of the portfolio, 32 brands we sold, we franchised out 11, so that we could focus on the premium end. We've really had a very transformational innovation agenda. So we've launched Johnnie Walker Blonde. We've launched something called Royal Challenge American Pride. I see some nods in the audience, so hopefully you've tried some of our beautiful products. We also renovated some of our whiskey brands to really meet the needs of evolving consumers. So Signature, it's one of the most sustainable whiskeys on the market, and the new consumer really wants propositions like that. They want companies to do good, right, while doing sales. So we've launched a technical center. We have a best-in-class innovation center, which is the only DSIR certified research center for alcohol beverage in the country. We launched a hub called the Good Craft Company, which is basically not only developing craft brands for us, but also helping the craft ecosystem in the country. Goa has a number of entrepreneurs who are making craft spirits. We are actually supporting them make better, liquids for the country. So we are really helping them give the best to India. We made an investment in Now Spirits. Most of you, or some of you may have tried Hapusha Gin and Greater Than, so we have a stake in those brands. We have just made an investment in Pistola, which is a craft agave spirit. And so we have really reshaped our portfolio to give immersive, luxurious experiences to the consumers. On the organization side, basically 2 or 3 interventions, key interventions. One is digital. I mean, everyone talks about digital. I think our capability, we are trying to accelerate the journey. I can't say we are best in class, but we strive to be there. We are really investing in our talent and capabilities in the core areas of consumer insight, innovation, distillation, etc. And we are really launching progressive work policies so that we have an environment where all our employees can really thrive and give their best, right? On the Diageo in Society, we have 3 pillars. It is about championing inclusion and diversity. It is, and all of you may be surprised with this, but we genuinely promote moderation and responsible drinking. We don't want people to drink more, we want them to drink better. And we do extensive programs, Ashwini, also with the government, where we have tied up with, the regional transport authorities to actually teach people the risks of drink driving before they're given a license. 32 RTOs already are working with us, right? And on the sustainability side, water, which is our most precious resource. We are actually conserving water, replenishing more water than we use, reducing our carbon emissions. We've already reduced 95% of our carbon emissions from scope 1 and 2, which is our own operations. And we are trying to create products which are more sustainable by design. So I think this strategy is really helping us add value to all our stakeholders, as well as delivering the, the financial performance that we want to. Yeah.
Ashwini, the transformation we spoke about has a lot to do with accountability. It has a lot to do with audit practices, implementation of strategies that you actually go forward with and execute. Tell us a bit about the execution part of it. How, as a leader, helming many of these projects, have you tried to transform many of the work ethics and the accountability part of the equation? We have seen infrastructure projects that are stalled, that are not completed on time, but there's been a clear change on that front. So what did it take for you to bring about this massive change in the overall ethics and accountability part of the equation?
I think you made a very valid point because for many years we see that in government sector or public sector projects are started, but for some reasons if they are stalled, then the leadership keeps changing, and that is why at times nobody is there to finally be accountable for the delivery. So when I joined MMRDA, that time also there were many projects which were the Bhumi Pujan was done, coconut breaking was done, but the projects were non-starters because the problems were so enormous that nobody would take a lead and solve the problem. Because in government we work in various departments and there are other agencies who also need their involvement in that project. And everybody works in their silos, they are good, but nobody wants to break those barriers, enter into others' area, and then solve problems. So the change which I made when I came, because I didn't have any experience of working in infrastructure, I had come from a different background in my previous jobs. I'm not an engineer. But when I realized that it is a problem of basically breaking these barriers, bringing everybody on the same table, and the first and foremost thing which I did was to make the team responsible. I said, we have to deliver these projects. We are not leaving it to somebody who would come later. Even I don't know how long I am going to stay in MMRDA, but till the time I am there, I would like to deliver these projects. So whatever problems we are, let us tackle them one by one. If they are not, because most of the problems when you work in a public sector, the implementing agency is only the implementing agency. The problem is in somebody else's realm. So as MMRDA, you would work on project on a road which belongs to BMC. You need shifting of some electric poles which belong to BEST. You need to shift some slum dwellers who are in the realm of slum improvement authority. You need some land which belongs to defense sector or some private sector. So the point is, I can't leave it to them when they give me the land. So first thing I did, I motivated my team that this is our project and we have to deliver. It is our requirement. So we will go to them 100 times and we'll get it. We will not wait till they come. So I think that first thing was the approach which is attacking the problem, dealing with the problem right from the forefront. And we started working with all these stakeholders. And we did all kinds of measures. Sam, Dam, Dandabhed, which I call. So first, go to them, request them 100 times. If they don't, then just go and get that project. I have done it. Like there was one land which belonged to a central government department, which we needed. That it was a very crucial piece of land for Eastern Freeway project, which we did. It was again a very, very complex and challenging project. And I did everything. I went to their Delhi office. I went in the ministry. But somehow nobody was there again. They had no problem. They knew that this is a land which is reserved for the project and development plan of the city, and they have to give this land. But who would take that decision? Because everybody fears that, okay, if I give the land, tomorrow my vigilance would ask me that question. And there was not a single person who was ready. So what we did, I issued them a notice under one section of BMC Act, which powers were there with us. Such notice under section 199, it is meant for the private landowners. It is not meant for the government. But I said, we'll issue them notice. What we did, in the reference, we mentioned all the letters or the correspondence which we have done with them. There were at least more than 20 letters which we had written at all levels. So we mentioned them. And we wrote that this is a land which is already reserved in development plan. We have already given you an ample opportunity, and you would get a compensation in the form of transferable development right. So it is not that we are taking it free of cost. The only thing is you have to give, and so far you have not given this land, and we are now at such stage that without this land the project cannot be completed, so I am just taking over the position. And we took over the position. Some of the local officers actually thanked me. They said, you didn't put us the responsibility of decision on us. You took that decision yourself. And nobody challenged. So sometimes you have to do this. Similar was the case. There are a lot of salt pan lands in Mumbai. And salt pan is a very, very sensitive issue in Mumbai because environmentalists keep talking about it. And nobody takes decision, again, giving salt pan. So there also we managed. I had a similar approach. There was a group of ministers in government of India who were to take that decision. That meeting had never taken place for past 7-8 years. Then it was headed by Mr. Sharad Pawar, Mr. Vilasrao Deshmukh was also on board. So we decided, we went to them and individually we met them. We told them that for this project, this meeting needs to take place and this decision. And we did this kind of backroom kind of advisory consultation with them. The meeting took place. They had kept some 25 odd subjects because the meeting has not taken place for many years. Most of them were private. All others were rejected. Only our work was sanctioned. So you have to do a lot of such things. I have thousands of such examples. The thing is, you have to approach, find out solution, be proactive. And even when Mumbai Metro Line 3 started, it's an underground project, fully underground. And there was not a single piece of land where we can start the work. But the same spirit our team worked, that we have to solve the problem. So this issue of accountability, I instilled that spirit in my team, that we are accountable for this project. So we have to take ownership, come what may, whatever the challenges be, but we have to work. So with this kind of spirit, I think the projects have now started happening, and you would find the similar approach being adopted by other implementing agencies also, which I think it's a very, very favorable situation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing those anecdotes. It really tells about the struggles you have to go through on a daily basis and the challenges you have to address. And I think both you ladies have very well, very articulately highlighted the various biases you have to overcome. And you've also spoken about how you have the steel as a leader to transform businesses, transform a whole city. So congratulations on that. I want to end the conversation by trying to understand how, as leaders, what are you doing to level the playing field for more women, aspiring women who want to make it big in your specific fields? What are you doing for them to make it more inclusive? I'll start with you, Hina.
I mean, a lot. Okay, we are doing a lot. I mean, it's a core part of our strategy, as I mentioned. I think that's fundamental. Unless it appears as a pillar of your very strategic being and your purpose, I don't think you can get forward, right? So the fact that we've announced to the, India, or to the world rather, our goals on inclusion and diversity, I think is the first step. We have a lot of market-leading policies which support women. And actually, we are going beyond women. We are actually supporting LGBTQIA+. We are supporting people with disabilities. We are supporting women. And, on LGBTQIA, we have recently been announced as the Gold Employer by Pride Circle India. And this creates a really inclusive environment for, this cohort of people. We have policies of gender expression, gender identity, sexual orientation. And our well-being policy actually gives equal medical coverage and leave to same-sex or live-in partners, right? And very few companies have come up with this, right? Our diversity ratio, gender diversity has moved from 7.5% in 2015 to more than 26% in 2023. 50% of my executive is women. 35% of our senior leadership is women. Right? And we don't stay just with our own company. We also are sort of fundamentally driving inclusion in the communities that we are operating in. I was telling some people while we were waiting that we have a program called Learning for Life, which equips underrepresented communities with hospitality skills. And we ensure 50% women participation. and they are getting employed by, the Royal Orchid Hotel, Starbucks, Taj Hotels after, finishing. We've also worked with the Skill Council for people with disabilities. And, these people are also coming under Learning for Life, learning hospitality skills. We trained 100 people last year. We've just done a memorandum of understanding to train 300 people this year, and all of them have got fantastic employment. We work with Advertising Society, the Advertising Standards Council of India to actually lead guidelines on progressive marketing. Right? We are a founding member of the Unstereotype Alliance, so which sort of influences across industries to do progressive portrayal. We spend a good part of our media on progressive marketing and with people who are driving a progressive narrative. So I would say that it's a combination of all these initiatives, not a single one, that helps us not only drive diversity internally, but also with communities, and also helps us lead the industry narrative and improve the perception of this Alcobev category, which has come a long way, by the way. I say it's come a long way, baby, since 2013, etc. It has come a long way, and we are recognized for the work we are doing now. So that feels really good. Yeah.
Ashwini?
I can't claim all those things because in government, it is restricted by certain policies. Maharashtra government has 33% reservation for women in employment. But in infrastructure, especially civil engineering, there are still some barriers, maybe more mental barriers, or that is why women representation is much less. But as a company, we have been encouraging that wherever I find a suitable women employee in engineering sphere. But other non-engineering, we have ample representation, especially in planning and architecture. We have very excellent representation of women. But my focus as an infrastructure, when the metro starts, it should be more women friendly. So our focus is on that. Because the women participation, employment participation rate depends on how safe and secure your transport is in a city. Mumbai, fortunately, we have, but still we need to go beyond what the suburban railway experience is. And considering that, there are a lot of features which we have introduced in this underground metro, which we are doing, which will make a very, very safe, comfortable, and faster travel for women. And multiple features are involved in it. And I'm sure this underground metro, which is the only line which connects to the city and multiple employment hubs, it proves not only a lifeline, but a real lifeline for the women, because those who are using some other transport which is more, not so convenient to them, if they should shift to this, and it would lead to the higher women employment participation rate. So from that perspective, we are working.
Thank you so much, Hina and Ashwini, for sharing your inspiring journey with us, and the lovely anecdotes that you shared just help us understand what it really takes to rise to position of power and influence and be self-made women. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neha, and a heartfelt thank you to our esteemed guests for sharing their valuable insights and experiences. Hina, I would request you to kindly remain on stage for our first set of felicitations. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause for our first set of panelists. As we move forward in our evening, let's take a moment to marvel at the remarkable achievements of women across the globe. Women are redefining the narrative, transforming challenges into opportunities, and boldly claiming their rightful place as leaders. From boardrooms to creative studios, from tech hubs to the corridors of power, women are not just participating, but leading and reshaping the world. It's time we recognize this seismic shift, a testament to our unyielding spirit and boundless potential. Let's start our celebration by spotlighting a pioneering leader whose vision has dramatically transformed commuting in Mumbai, a city where travel has traditionally been a daunting challenge. She's been a driving force behind the city's metro projects, including the crucial Metro Line 3, which connects Cuff Parade to Seeps. This project alone is set to decrease vehicle trips by 4.5 lakh per day on Mumbai's congested roads, significantly easing traffic and environmental impact. Her leadership has not only modernized our infrastructure, but also significantly enhanced the quality of life for millions of Mumbaikars. Please welcome once again Ashwini Bide, Managing Director, Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation, on stage. Many congratulations, ma'am, for your outstanding contribution to this very city. Now let's shift our attention to another remarkable individual who's been a trailblazer in her own right. It's my honor to talk about this pioneering voice from the tribal communities of Malkangiri district in Odisha. She's not only the first tribal from her district to receive the NWMI Fellowship for Women Journalists, but also a beacon of empowerment and change. Her ventures, Jungle Rani and the Bada Didi Union, have created platforms for storytelling and awareness, highlighting the strength and resilience of her community. Her stories offer a first-hand account of what it means to be in the hinterland of Odisha. Please welcome Jayanti Buruda to the stage. Many congratulations, Jayanti, on your well-deserved recognition. Your work and dedication are truly inspirational. Time to recognize another inspiring story. She's a beacon of hope and resilience, known as the Princess of Slums. This youngest self-made achiever in the room today always wanted to be a model, but that remained a distant dream until a fortuitous encounter with Robert Hoffman. Today, she's a celebrated model featured on magazine covers and the face of Forest Essentials Yuvati collection. Her journey, fueled by self-belief and support from the community, shows the incredible power of ambition and hard work. A huge round of applause for Malisha Karwa. Many congratulations, Malisha. Next up, we put the spotlight on an acclaimed leader in the financial sector who has masterfully navigated complex market dynamics, making substantial contributions to the industry. From joining the Kotak Mahindra Group as its 34th employee to climbing the ranks with a DIY, learn-on-the-job approach, today she leads its advisory business. Her leadership and strategic prowess earned her a prestigious place on the 2022 Forbes India Self-Made W-Power list. Please put your hands together to welcome Lakshmi Iyer, the CEO of Kotak Investment Advisors. Many congratulations, Lakshmi, on winning the award for her remarkable contributions and steadfast dedication to the world of finance. Moving ahead, let's shine a spotlight on the remarkable accomplishments of a visionary entrepreneur and owner of two acclaimed bars, Cocktails and Dreams Speakeasy in Gurugram and Sidecar in New Delhi. Her journey began in the early 2000s when she started bartending as a freelancer, learning the nuances of the alcohol, beverage and bar industry. In 2020, Sidecar ranked 91 among the world's best bars. Let's celebrate her trailblazing spirit and remarkable achievements, inspiring others to break barriers and pursue their dreams with unwavering courage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Meenakshi Singh on stage and keep the applause going. Many congratulations, Meenakshi. Continuing with the felicitation, it is time to acknowledge the exceptional contributions of Praveena Rai, the Chief Operating Officer of the National Payments Corporation of India. With an illustrious career spanning over 3 decades, Praveena has been at the forefront of the transformation of India's digital payments landscape. She's responsible for promoting the growth of its products and introducing new use cases for UPI and RuPay, which has directly led to a remarkable surge in digital payment volumes in India. These initiatives have not only revolutionized the way India transacts, but have also significantly enhanced financial inclusion across the nation. Please join me in welcoming Praveena Rai. Many congratulations, Praveena, for your visionary leadership and exceptional impact on the digital payment sector in India. Now we're honoring someone who's made a name for herself for her exemplary work as a guiding light for others. As an Anganwadi worker, her dedication has been the cornerstone of her community's well-being. She has selflessly operated a childcare center from a home for the past 17 years in the village of Parakhova, Assam, filling the void left by the lack of public services. She helps children join school, provides support to pregnant women, and embodies the spirit of service. Let's put our hands together for Ranima Das, who was nominated to represent 23 lakh Anganwadi workers and helpers in the country by the All India Anganwadi Workers Federation on the Forbes India W-Power list 2024. Many congratulations, Ranima Das, for your extraordinary dedication to the children and women of Parakhova village. Congratulations to all the winners for the incredible contributions across various fields, and a special thanks to Hina Nagarajan for doing the honors, ma'am. Thank you very much. Moving on. Moving on to another stimulating segment of our evening, we now turn our focus to a discussion that is both timely and pivotal, making inclusion and diversity work going beyond the jargon. In a world where diversity and inclusion have become buzzwords, this conversation aims to explore the depths of what true diversity, equity, and inclusion can look like. We'll explore creating environments where everyone, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or other identities, feels valued and respected and has equal opportunities for growth and advancement. Now, this discussion promises to provide practical strategies and real-world insights to foster truly inclusive workplace environments. Without further ado, I would like to invite Nasreen Sultana, Associate Editor, Forbes India, to lead this insightful conversation with our distinguished speakers. Please join us on stage, Naya Sagi, the co-founder of Good Glam Group and CEO of Good Community, Ahana Gautam, founder and CEO Open Secret, and Nitin Singh, head of Asia Pacific, Barclays Private Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our panelists here. Nasreen, over to you.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this conversation. Learning to speak about diversity is uncomfortable, but it is critical for leaders who want to build inclusive workplaces. Indeed, there is no playbook for standing face to face with inequity, injustice, and oppression while running a business or organization. The only way to address this is the oppressions related to racism, sexism, and other forms of injustice at the workplace is to be open to experiencing this discomfort in an honest and forthright way. But how do we ask the right questions? How do we really go beyond the jargon? We will try to discuss this. My first question is to Nitin. It is said that variety is the the spice of life, right? And diversity is another word for variety. How do you think it can enhance or flavor the world that we live in?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. And I think it's, I must say that I was very inspired by the previous conversation that happened here. So Hina and Ashwini, I must say that, it was personally very inspiring to hear both the work that you're doing. And I think it actually, variety is actually a perfect example of the fact that we want to do something different every day, right? So when you talk about variety or when you talk about diversity, happiness and true meaning comes from the fact that people want to do something interesting every day in their workspace. I think for me, variety equals diversity, and diversity is not just about gender, but it's about diversity of thought, it's about diversity of experiences, it's about diversity of, everything from gender to age to disability to, and I've had the privilege of working in environments that have encouraged diversity and of working across cultures, and I've realized, I went from being I remember landing up in London a few years ago, and that was my first international experience of working overseas, and I'd always worked in India. And I remember working with somebody, with this guy who was a German in my team, and I remember our first review happening with him, and I was giving him feedback. And I said, do you have any feedback for me? And he turned over, and he had like 30 things on that page to basically tell me. So, so I think the point that I wanted to make was that diversity of thought, diversity of culture, diversity of just experiences, and everything that we go through really encourages firstly a very innovative work culture, but I think also makes really the spice of life. So something that's very close to my heart.
Right. Numbers don't lie, actually. A Deloitte report, which was released in March 2024, just recently, says that the number of board seats held by women across Indian companies has increased gradually over the past few years from what it was earlier to 18.3% across board in 2023. But surprisingly, that still doesn't really match up to the 23.3% number of seats that is held by women across boards globally. That's quite, disappointing. Naya, I want to come to you. How do you think we can bring this parity? And this has been a conversation that we always have. Why we don't have more women in the boardroom?
So thanks for having me here, Nasreen. And I just want to also echo what Nitin said. Hina, Ashwini, fantastic conversation. And Ashwini, when you were talking especially, I was reminded of my mother, because she used to work in the infrastructure space, in the services. So I'm a services kid. I've seen some of what you described firsthand. It's been the subject of multiple conversations growing up. So more power to you, really. And you've really carved a way for many, many women. But coming to this again, I want to actually replay my mother's experience, because she's also been an independent director on multiple boards. And I'm actually starting my first independent directorship in the coming month. I have been, of course, on boards of companies I founded, but this is going to be totally new to me. If you just go back a little bit, right, this is where I think there's one very big positive, which is the power of legislation, right? I'm a former lawyer. And I think sometimes, we talk a lot about the role that laws can play in actually impacting societal change. And I think this has been a great, great step in actually at least mandating a woman on, on a board, right? And having that woman's voice at least be represented, right? But the flip side to it is that, society is typically slow to catch up with law always, right? Even progressive legislation. So if you look at the number of women CEOs of the top 100, 500 companies in India, right? That number is less than 2%. So if you really think about it, if we don't have women at the leadership levels who are calling the shots, the boards that are supposed to work with them as partners and advise and guide them will not be representative of the leadership. So I think that needs to change. And I think a big leveler in I've said this before, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an irrational optimist. I think a big leveler is actually entrepreneurship. I'm seeing more and more women founders now come to the forefront, fundraise effectively, build amazing teams, build their boards that actually support and know who they are as leaders. And I think that narrative, at least in certain segments, is changing. But I think in mainstream corporate India, there are a few trailblazers. There aren't enough, I would say, yet. That needs to change.
Do you think there is a certain kind of unwillingness?
Unwillingness to change? I don't actually think so. I think, yes, in certain contexts, yes. But I think overall, I'm also seeing, I think, a very positive sentiment. And, I was speaking yesterday at another event, and, the data is out there. Women-led companies do perform very, very well. I mean, they're smaller in number, but they perform much better on multiple metrics: financial, operational, psychological safety, team retention, shareholder value, than a lot of other male-run companies. And I don't want to generalize. This is a smaller sample set I'm talking about, but the data is out there. So I think what is changing now and what is very positive is when you look at the flow of funds. And that's really where it all comes down to, right? When you look at public markets rewarding companies that are well-run with not diversity, but actually inclusive voices at the leadership level, they reward them much better, right? When you look at companies that are responsibly run with, many times a very strong leadership in place that is empathetic to the team as well, you get rewarded both by private investors as well as by public markets, right? So I think money is flowing in that direction more and more. And I think that will then set the narrative right.
Few more years from now, I hope.
Few more years from now, but I'm very positive.
Right. Hannah, I want to come to you now. And when employers can cast a wider net, the talent pool becomes larger. And the resources, of course, has to be given equally. How do you create an environment where equal opportunity is given for every employee?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I have to say this has been such an inspiring evening already. Naya and I, we were discussing and we were clapping for every winner. So thank you for inspiring all of us here. I would say let's take a step back first. And I will tell you that, when we talk about opportunities, of course, as an employer, you want to give an opportunity to someone, but there's also someone at the receiving end. And I think the first question which we need to answer is the dream gap. And I'll give you my example. I grew up in a very small city of Rajasthan called Bharatpur. Their parents had different dreams for their daughters, and they had different dreams for their sons. Of course, for their sons, they wanted the best-in-class education, but of course, for girls, it was shaadi kar lo, settle ho jao. Now, imagine a young working professional, a female working professional. She has grown up with that conditioning that the goal is to take care of the house, the goal is to be a complete woman. Now, when you are competing in this workspace, the dream, the hunger, and I'm not saying it's missing, but we have to start from there. We have to make sure that they are seeing the women CEOs, they are seeing the change makers, they are seeing women in government, in offices, everywhere, so that the dream gap doesn't exist. So I think first and foremost, even if you can create an ecosystem at office, and I'll be very honest here, as a founder of Open Secret, sometimes I have these hard conversations. I say, why are you quitting? They said, no, I'm getting married, I want to quit. It's just extremely hard. So until and unless we really address the social conditioning, I think it's very hard for all of us to make a difference. So that's why I want to be very honest and say, first, we really need to ensure that they're allowed to dream big and we give them the wings to fly. Now, the second thing I would say, it's extremely important. We talk about diversity and we talk about inclusion. It starts with the leadership. And I really hope that all of us who are sitting in the room, they're not doing it as a tick box exercise. I have seen, and I've been in companies in the US where it's like an agenda item which you are trying to tick box. I think it's extremely important, people like us, I feel I'm such a privileged person on this platform, from Bharatpur to IIT Bombay to Harvard Business School. If I don't think about it, if I don't make a difference, who will? So I think bringing diversity, making equal opportunity, it should not be a choice for all the people who are sitting in the room. We should treat it as a responsibility. And that's something which I feel that starts from the leader, and then we really need to create equal opportunities. I'll give you another example. So at Open Secret, we have, we call it, we're on the mission of unjunking. So we unjunk packaged foods in India. And when I was starting Open Secret, I had this vision that, I'm going to create a product, फिर उसको contract manufacturer को दे देंगे, we'll just focus on marketing. But one thing which was very clear that I really wanted to employ women, because if you truly want to empower them, if you truly want to give them responsibility, make them financially independent. I visited so many factories in Bhiwandi. None of those smaller contract manufacturers even had a toilet for women. And that day I decided that, we're going to make our own small factory in Bhandup. And there right now, if you come and visit a factory, majority of products are being made by women. And I think
that deserves a round of applause.
And I think that's something we all need to commit. And we need to have leaders who truly, passionately care about this topic. And we need to treat it as a responsibility and then make a difference.
Right. Moving on to Nitin. See, we are talking about diversity and inclusivity, but we can't really leave this discussion without talking about culture, because that's where it starts from. And coming from a big company, how do you really imbibe that culture where we feel included?
So, I think actually she said a lot of it right now, which is that firstly, that culture of inclusion starts at the top, and it has to start by leaders. I've had the distinct privilege of working very closely with two very strong female leaders whom you would have all heard of. One was, of course, Nana Lal Kidwai, and the second one was Zareen Daruwala in Standard Chartered. And I had a famous slogan for them, which is that they were both unstoppable forces of nature. When they decided that something had to happen, it used to happen. Right? And this was despite the fact that you have these large behemoth organizations, you've got multiple power centers all across the globe. And I think therefore change or actually being able to adapt to this within organizations starts with three things. The first thing is all about accountability. It's about accountability yourself as a leader, but also about trying to empower that accountability all the way down the line, which is that people have to be accountable. And it's not about actually an agenda and a tick box, even though that slide also comes in every presentation. So I know in my reviews, oh, by the way, even my current boss, who's my global head of wealth management, is also a lady. So I should not be forgetting that. But so I think the first one is about accountability. I think the second one is about transparency, actually, because it can very quickly just become an agenda, and about that, and it's easier said than done. So I think about having that transparency, both in terms of your policies, both in terms of what you're doing, both in terms of how you're implementing it, and in the communication that you're making. And I think the third one is really about engagement, and that's something that actually we do very closely, and something that's very close to my heart. So I think in 2018 I had the privilege of being the leader of the ERG, or our employee resource group that we'd set up for LGBTQ employees. And that was a very enriching experience because, despite whatever, that was something that I, at least in my cocooned environment, hadn't experienced previously. And when I look at places like Barclays today, ERGs are so powerful because these are run by employees. And, when I was thinking about what we do in Barclays, I actually wanted to just say ditto to whatever Hina was talking about, because she counted off all of the statistics, and I said, okay, that's very cool. But I think that's actually a perfect example of how you drive change and within large organizations.
Right. Naya, I want to come to you on this. An inclusive environment really is very fulfilling for all of the employees. An employee feels valued. But at the same time, there are a lot of organizations which still lack this basic requirement. Why do you think so?
I think, if you think about, progressive, the sort of the corporate environments that we're all building out today, right? Just kind of stepping back and looking at the kind of team members we are hiring and we're bringing on, we're nurturing, and who are playing leadership roles, they are talking the narrative of authenticity, right? They are all talking about, can we be who we are and show up the way we are at work, right? We don't have to put up a facade, we don't have to put on a mask, we can literally be who we are, and we can play to our own distinctive strengths. It's a very different paradigm from, let's say, when I was starting off my career, and I was told to be a certain way or behave a certain way. Today we're celebrating these differences. We're celebrating what makes you unique and what makes you special. And in fact, it's not just a survival tactic, it's actually a thriving tactic for organizations. And organizations who do not recognize that are going to lose the plot. They're not going to win. It's very clear. The writing is on the wall. The second thing, I really want to call this out. At the Good Glam Group, we're extremely particular about, of course, creating security, psychological security, but also standing for causes, right? And that's really important because when team members believe that the organization has a mission, right, that it serves, which is larger than just the pursuit of profit, right, it becomes a very different narrative even within the organization. I want to talk about 3 initiatives very quickly, what we do, right? One is something very close to my heart. I mean, I am 8 months pregnant, so it's even closer to my heart right now, which is the Mompreneur initiative. The idea there was to build the largest platform along with Startup India and a couple of other amazing partners for mompreneurs in India. The numbers are really startling. We have let's say, the 20-odd million entrepreneur, give or take, like different level of entrepreneurs, about, 20% of them are actually moms who are starting off their businesses, right? And I'm talking about all scale of entrepreneurs, right, across India. And that's a large number, but there's no one initiative that really addresses their needs at scale. So what we've done is we've, of course, created a show, the Mompreneur Show, where we celebrate the stories of top leaders who happen to be moms, but equally a mompreneur platform where we are actually funding as well as supporting aspiring and ambitious mompreneurs with funding, grants, etc. So that's one piece, and that's become a really large piece of who we are. The second piece was we did it a couple of years back where we profiled 100 top women entrepreneurs across India, and the rationale for that actually came out of a personal experience where I was doing a small angel check, and in part of the the syndicate meeting, there were no women in that particular list of entrepreneurs we should back. And I was like, where are the women? And I was told, but there are no women. I'm like, no, but there are. There clearly are women entrepreneurs are building. And, that list has actually become, I think, quite a large part of, what we support. I mean, the stories championing, you can be what you can see. How do we bring more stories of women out there? And the third initiative is, of course, we talk about the checklist and the checklist manifesto on diversity. But, honestly, what you measure is what matters, right? We do measure very, very aggressively, very transparent about these numbers. We have a 65% women in our workforce, for the scale of company we're at, for the fact that we're a unicorn. It's one of the very rare outliers, unfortunately, today in India, to have that level of women at different roles and across hierarchies, if you will, right? And that's something that we measure obsessively at every level. And we keep on thinking about how to do better and better. So I think these are the 3 things when people see this, right? They see the outside commitments, the mission that it's a broader purpose and we serve just the group level for profit. And number 2, when they see internally and they see more of us, right? Present in boardrooms, present in conversations, in team building sessions, etc. That is really what creates a sense of inclusiveness versus any sort of pity talk.
Absolutely. Nitin, if I want to ask you about the hiring practices, because inclusivity actually starts from the hiring practices and then, of course, flows into the company's policy. At Barclays, do you have any instances where you can share about the practices that you follow in hiring?
So, I spoke a few pieces about how we make people feel included at work and the ERGs, etc. I think one is, of course, having clear targets that we've set. And to be frank, that helps because you need to focus attention around the fact that you need to look at diversity of candidates because actually, typically that answer happens saying that there's nobody, right? So there's actually a process that drives people to start thinking through that. And I think that's very key, right? It's okay to say that you can be gender blind and you need to find the best candidate. And that's a wonderful line that is utopian at times. But I think just forcing people to think beyond and actually trying to drive that is key. I think the second one that actually Hina also mentioned earlier is about the organization making an effort to actually go out into the street and say that this is key and these are our targets. That in itself puts a huge amount of focus. So for example, at our level, and unfortunately, it's not 65%. I would love it to be that. But senior directors and MDs within our firm globally is about 33%, which is a large number, and which is something that we are actually trying to grow as well. But yeah, it's still work in progress.
Okay, one last question before we wrap up, and this is to Ahana. The BRSR norms, which is mandated by SEBI, it says that the 100 companies, the 1,000 companies by market cap, they need to follow certain norms which are in the BRSR norms. How do you think a smaller company in size and scale can really fit this work culture in their work environment to probably get into the BRSR norms?
I think first thing I would say, it should not be a norm based on which I want to hire women. So let's just make it very clear. I think as Naya mentioned that if you have a diverse workforce, the companies perform much better. So I would firstly definitely say that diversity results in better performance, and I think that should be a driving factor, and that's something at open secret, from a leadership position, even as I was mentioning at the shop floor, that we have women leaders, because I do believe that, and not just as he was mentioning, diversity in terms of gender, but diversity in terms of thought, diversity in terms of skill sets, and all of that should definitely stay. But at the same time, I would also say that it's extremely important to not just talk about hiring, but also talk about retention. Because a lot of times I've realized that the ecosystem that we create, the definition of merit is a bit flawed. If all the promotions are happening based on merit and that definition hasn't changed for decades, and people are being rewarded for a certain behavior, I think that is something which we need to be very conscious about. I was just chatting with Naya and I was saying to her that, we have a certain personality type for a male leader and we have a certain personality type for a female leader. In fact, there was a case study at Harvard Business School where people described a leader as confident, as authentic when it was a male leader, but they described as like aggressive, I don't like this leader, don't want to work with this leader when she was a female leader. So it's extremely important that when you're hiring someone, you're also creating an environment where someone like me, I would say I'm aggressive at work, is also acceptable, versus someone who might be a soft-spoken leader. So let's talk about both hiring as well as retention, and let performance, let merit be the reason for all of us to hire more women in the workforce, not norms. Of course, norms are great. I'm not saying that we don't need legislation, but I just also want to ensure that this is a very merit-based decision that we want to make.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for sharing the panel with me, and all your insights were really helpful to form an idea about how you all are running your company, be it of a small size or a large one like Barclays. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Nasreen.
Thank you, panelists, for that lovely and enlightening discussion. Naya, I have to say it's quite empowering and wonderful to see you juggling so much at almost the last end of your pregnancy. Kudos to you. Thank you so much, panelists. Once again, a huge round of applause. Nitin requests you to kindly remain on stage for our next set of felicitations. I would also request Dr. Aarti Singh, Inspector General of Police, Mumbai, to join us on stage to do the honors as we proceed with the second set of felicitations. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Aarti Singh. Tonight is not just about recognition, it is a celebration of achievement, dedication, and the powerful impact of our winners. Ruchira Gupta, founder of the NGO Apne Aap, has been a tireless advocate for the rights of women and girls, dedicating her life to fighting sex trafficking and systemic exploitation. Through Apne Aap, she has empowered countless individuals through tools for education, legal support, and a path to self-sufficiency. Unfortunately, Ruchira couldn't join us tonight. I'd like to call on stage Kamakshi Tiwari, the Program Associate of Apne Aap, to accept this award on her behalf. Let's extend a heartfelt appreciation for all the work Ruchira and her Apne Aap team does and their dedication to equal rights and justice. Thank you, Kamakshi, for joining us. Our next self-made powerhouse, Safina Hussain, has been relentless in her fight for the right to education for not thousands but millions of girls living in India. Yes, Safina didn't let her lived experience of dropping out of school for 3 years deter her. In fact, she turned it into a strength to promote education for girls. Her NGO, Educate Girls, works in partnership with the government to operate in villages across Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Volunteers help enroll and retain out-of-school girls and have mobilized more than 1.4 million girls for enrollment to date in more than 24,000 villages. It gives me great pride to welcome Safina Hussain on stage. Let's give her a huge round of applause. Many congratulations, Safina. Your work has and will touch the lives of millions for generations to come. Now it's time to put the spotlight on another remarkable leader. Soumya Surya Narayanan is making waves in impact investing as the Director of Impact and ESG at Avishkar Capital. With a passion for economics and a social science, Soumya helps fund sustainable and impactful businesses that create value for both investors and the society. Her journey, marked by determination and a commitment to social change, exemplifies the power of following your passion to create meaningful impact. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Soumya Narayanan. Many congratulations, Soumya. Moving on, as the Group CEO of Quest Retail, she has been instrumental in introducing renowned beauty brands like The Body Shop, Kiehl's and Anastasia Beverly Hills into the Indian market. With her extensive experience in fashion, sports and lifestyle retail, she has carved a name for herself as a trailblazer in the industry. Please join me in welcoming Shruti Malhotra on the stage. Many congratulations to you, Shruti. And now it is my distinct honor to talk about an acclaimed filmmaker and writer who has transitioned from a successful advertising career to become a beacon in the Indian film industry by telling compelling stories. She won the Forbes India Self-Made W-Power Award in 2020 for impactful storytelling in films like Neel Bate Sannata, Panga and Bareli Ki Barfi. Currently, she's directing a film about Narayan Murthy and Sudha Murthy. Please join me in welcoming Ashwini Iyer Tiwari to the stage. Many congratulations, Ashwini. We are all big fans of yours. Many thank you. And would you like to say a few words?
Because every time I see a woman who's doing well, and especially in the finance sector, I just feel very good, is because I do not know anything about this. And that's why I made my first, which was basically...
You can come if you... No, if you could come here. If you could come here.
So that's why I made my first film called Neel Bate Sannatas, because I didn't know maths, and my mother was a huge inspiration to me, is because she was a school teacher, And she always thought that I should become a CA because my mama was a CA. And I didn't know anything about math. And in class 12, I still remember I was this typical South Indian girl who had to study and then go and do her start accountancy and then get a job somewhere in a good company, and then of course get married to some engineer out there. So, but then things were very different because on October 2nd, on Gandhi Jayanti, I still remember I cried and I told my mother that I want to be a painter. And the first reaction of my mother, who taught in a Gujarati medium school, she was trying to make an English medium, said that, oh, we are not business people, we do not know how to sell paintings. So don't do that. And then she made a point to say, okay, fine, you're interested in art, why don't you just go and see something called advertising? Because you can art and you can make money. So that's how I got into advertising. I was a gold medalist from Sophia Polytechnic, and I got into Leo Burnett. And when I was shaking my head for DIGO, because Johnny Walker's was one of my first few clients, where Keep Walking was one of the first campaigns, the long copy ad, which we used to do in that. I'm talking about 2021, 22, 2001, 2002. It was about Keep Walking. And that time, we had a great set of clients and business heads who always said that we need more women in the boardroom. So therefore, I had clients like Fiat, where we were talking about cars, we were launching cars, we were launching bikes for Bajaj, we were also selling sanitary napkins, because I was the chosen one for sanitary napkins. But then I was also the chosen one when I went and told that I want to work on this brand, why can't I work? And it was like, okay. So therefore, Johnny Walker came into my kitty. And at that point of time, I had so many friends of mine who had joined DIGO. So it was kind of crazy to think that, women can do that. The learning which I got through my advertising years in Leo Burnett was to just have more women in the boardroom, and to have clients where they see women as thought leaders. And today when I have a lot of my clients whom we have worked with, and they call me and they say, okay, I just want to see it from a woman's point of view. It's like a brand which is connected to a target audience, which is male, young, youth, male, but tera perspective dekhna hai ki what does it come. So I would request a lot of men and women leaders to hire more women in creative aspects of storytelling, because that really helps when you see the different perspective of how you can launch brands and talk about brands. That comes from my advertising perspective. But when it came to films, it was different when you are like doing pre-production, when you're in the boardroom trying to create stories. But what happens when you go on and because I am like someone who cannot stay still, like my cinematographers tell me that she can suddenly change her mind and she would want to sit on a bike and just take the camera and move. And this happened in small towns like Agra, Lucknow, Bareilly, where people were not used to seeing women on bikes, taking a camera and like just moving on. And the first time I shot, they used to call me sir, and they always used to look at my first assistant director, and I used to say like, no, just turn right, because you have to look at me. I'm the one who's taking a decision. But the second time when I went, there was change. The change was because I had line producers who had got their daughter and said that she's going to be handling your line production from now on. And I had like guys who came and told me that my daughter wants to get into styling, the styling department. So to make filmmaking as a legit profession for more women to come in was something which I have always strived on, that you have more women, but you need more men to hire women also. When you have more men who can believe in the idea of having more women out there, change happens. So we make it a point that we always have at least 5 or 6 women working with us in a team. There was a time where we were having night shoots, and the point of view is that, oh, you're having a night shift, but doctors have night shifts. So we also have the night shift. It's the same thing. And I think it's just the way you look at it. And we work in the sun. I just shot like in 42 degrees. I came back fully tanned, and there was full sun just 5 days back. And the first thing was like, how did you shoot? I said, just like everyone else was there. So there's nothing different. Yes, I just had to go to the parlor and just get my detan. So that was the only difference. For that, I took like a break of 2 hours in between. So my team knows that, okay, if we have a 2-hour break, I'll just go for a pedicure and come back. So that's the only difference. But then when we were shooting at night, my first AD said that, I just saw and I didn't see these girls out there, my team. So I said, where are they? He said, no, I asked them not to come is because it's a night shoot. I said, who asked you to do that? I want them to be there. I called them and I told them that it's your responsibility to make sure that you're going to be managing this mad crowd here. And they said, okay. I said, you can give गाली गलौज दे सकते हो, जो करना है करना, अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करना, and at the same time जिस लैंग्वेज में आपको बात करनी है कर लो आप. So I had like my one of my assistant directors who started like crowd control में तेलुगु में ऐसे जोर से बात कर रही थी, यूपी में, उत्तर प्रदेश में तेलुगु में कोई बात कर रहा है. So those are the kind of experiences which make girls who they are today. I'm very happy to have a huge amount of team who could do wonders, but I think it's not enough. I have a long way to go. I keep telling every client I meet, every person I meet that, hey, hire more directors as women, yeah, you can also tell stories, because I still feel that directors in the advertising sector for directing ads, commercials, is far lesser. I think in 2015, 16, I still know a client who said the moment he heard my name, said that, oh, it's a woman. I think we won't, continue with this conversation.
Times have changed.
Yeah, but now times have changed. Yes, and I took a lot of time. Sorry. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And once again, many, many congratulations. Moving on to our next self-made powerhouse is the founder and CEO of Numerate, a data scientist by qualification. She uses her expertise in data analytics to solve real-world problems. Her startup Numerate helps the fishing community work smarter while dealing with climate change. Based on satellite data, images, and analysis, Numerate's O-Fish app provides suggestions on potential fishing zones, algae bloom, ocean currents, tidal action, wave action, weather advisory and route tracking, leading to lower carbon emissions and lower operational cost for fishermen. Recognized with the Forbes India Self-Made W-Power Award in 2022, her work is a testament to technology's power in ecological conservation. Let's welcome Devalina Bhattacharjee with a huge round of applause. Many congratulations, Devalina. It's now time to move on to our next segment. I would request Nitin Singh and Dr. Aarti Singh to continue being on stage with us. We are all set to recognize the icons of excellence in leadership, a category that celebrates individuals whose extraordinary success have set new benchmarks in their fields. Our first icon of excellence is Hina Nagarajan, Managing Director and CEO of Diageo India. Since taking the helm at Diageo India in 2021, Hina has led the company's purpose-led transformation, focusing on premiumization, championing inclusivity and diversion, driving exceptional growth and strategic market entries. Under her leadership, Diageo has embraced digital trends and enhanced consumer experiences, which have been pivotal in navigating the dynamic beverage industry. She's also a non-executive director and a member of the audit committee on the board of BP PLC. Hina, many congratulations. Thank you so much. Next up, joining us on this esteemed platform is Amruta Subhash, an acclaimed actor whose diverse and rich career spans various facets of Indian cinema, known for her compelling performances in films like Gully Boy, where she played a supportive and resilient mother, and Sacred Games, where her portrayal of a raw and gritty character captivated audiences. Amruta has continually pushed the boundaries of artistic expression. Her work in Choked further showcased her versatility by playing a complex role that explores the nuances of economic hardship. Many congratulations, Amrita. Moving ahead, our next icon of excellence is Malvika Khatri, a luminary in the Indian film industry. An accomplished producer, Malvika has significantly shaped contemporary cinema with her work on critically acclaimed projects such as The Sky is Pink and Rocket Boys. With a rich background that includes a Bachelor of Science in Economics Forum from Wharton School, her journey from a debut as a production manager in Pyar Impossible to a respected producer showcases her dynamic and visionary approach in the entertainment sector. Her productions, notably Fitur and Pihu, have not only won accolades, but also touched the hearts of audiences globally, reflecting her profound impact on the industry. A huge round of applause for Malvika Khatri. Malvika, I would request you to kindly remain on stage. Congratulations once again. And I would request Amrita to join us back on the stage. Thank you, Nitin Singh and Dr. Aarti Singh, for doing the honors. It's now time for our next session on the evolution of women's roles. Where does the entertainment industry stand? To take this discussion ahead, I'd like to call on stage Forbes India's assistant news editor, Divya J. Shekhar. In this vibrant world of entertainment, women are leading a revolution, reshaping narratives and challenging conventions with every role they embody. Whether it is the corporate boardroom or storytelling or portraying roles across genres, languages, and even film industries. From the silver screen to OTT platforms, from indie productions to mainstream blockbusters, their influence knows no bounds. Joining Malvika and Amrita are filmmaker Ashwini Iyer Tiwari, the head of films at Roy Kapoor Films, and the very popular content creator turned actor Kusha Kapila. A huge round of applause for our panelists. Over to you, Divya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shruti. Good evening, everybody. We've had a very interesting evening so far, filled with so many inspiring stories and anecdotes and life experiences from people. We've seen so many role models our way. So this conversation is going to be about breaking barriers in the entertainment industry. And what does that mean? Breaking barriers. What are these women actually doing in the industry? It means that women are being role models. I have 4 of them sitting on the panel with me right here. It means that they are commanding more space, both on screen and off screen. It means that they are demanding equal pay, better roles, better working conditions. And it also means that they are acquiring the power to take the decisions that matter and a lot more. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. And I want to start with you, Ashwini. I really liked one point that you made earlier today about how it's necessary to have women in various aspects in the entertainment industry, in various roles, as actors, filmmakers, technicians, writers. And it's only then that the kind of stories that we see and the kind of movies that we make will be drastically different, and we'll see a whole new perspective. So do you think that the industry has started taking steps towards this? And if no, then what more needs to be done? And if yes, what's being done?
I feel there's a lot of change which have happened because women are demanding more from what they would like to achieve. Filmmaking and I think the entertainment industry as a profession was something which was a little non-legit profession, if I must say. But from the time there are professional colleges which teach mass media, which teach filmmaking as a course, right from the beginning, because then you have like class 11 and 12 students who are already using the camera or their phones to make films, to tell stories, to tell documentaries. And then you have colleges which are teaching filmmaking as a subject. That becomes legit. So then it becomes even more one step towards progression is because you have a middle class family who's looking at their child and a girl and saying, okay, you can get into making films. The reason why I keep pushing myself to go to colleges and to keep talking to college students is because I just feel that somewhere amongst those 100 girls, there would be 2 who would say, hey, you know what, if she can do it, then I think I can also get into films. I can also tell stories which I would like to. Also, I feel it's very important to talk more about the area of filmmaking. It's just not about direction. It's just not about writing. There are a lot of other things which get involved in the whole aspect of filmmaking. Knowledge expression is very important. It is important for us to have more conversations on what filmmaking is all about. So that, like, you have career courses and you know that, you know, if there's engineering, you have like 5 subjects in that. Filmmaking also needs to have a career counseling. You need to make it as legit as possible so that you can have more stories. For me, it's very important to have girls coming from smaller towns to tell their stories, because the lives they have led, the experience they have had cannot be told by a person sitting somewhere in a city in the 4 walls of their house. So the first thing I always say is that please go, look, travel the country. Every 500 meters, every 1 hour, the language changes, the costumes changes, the grammar changes of houses, and even the way people behave change. So that is very important, yeah.
Right. And Kusha, my next question is to you. You've been part of 3 different facets of the entertainment industry. You've made your name initially in the content creator economy, and since then you've also been doing shows and films. How do the gender dynamics play out differently, say, in the content creator industry versus in the world of films and OTT?
Hi, everyone. If I speak strictly about content creation, I think the reason why a lot of the female creators and influencers did well is because there was dire need of female comedy and the female perspective. Right. For a long time, a lot of male creators internationally and nationally existed. And while they were making great content, it wasn't for women to enjoy. Right. So I think when I look back in time, I look at a Malika Dua who really paved the way for us with Delhi humor. And in that space alone, what she was able to do, and at that time, single-handedly, there was nobody doing what she was doing at that time, which paved the way for so many of us to be able to finally represent our mothers, our aunts, our relatives, and all the people we did through the course of our content creation. So just the existence of female comedy was required. Now for that to be more nuanced, for that to be better, for our writing to be better, it takes time. Like, I remember that when we started our characterizations of characters, like mom character or the bhua character or the masi character, they were extremely OTT. But it's with time and it's with feedback and it's with acclaim that we understand the responsibility that we have now and how we wish to represent them now. Another thing that happens with the internet and with funny women on the internet decides that women are not funny. Right. This is something they have decided themselves from times immemorial. So they believe that women are not funny, and if a woman is funny, they are very quick to point out, for a woman, you're very funny. So we're not only creating content, we are constantly fighting this. Yeah. If you see the top female comic of this country, and I'm saying the words female comic and I'm cringing at it because I don't need to say female comic, I can just say comic, but I'm saying it to put across my point. The top female comic of this country who sells shows on Book My Show, you will see the first comment there from a guy who will say, "Hasna tha kya? Hasna tha kya?" So it's almost like a thing that they have saved, that the moment a woman will create, this is the first comment we'll do. That's the dang side of the internet. Yeah. So I just feel that as a female creator, it's on us that if we've been in this industry for 7-8 years, we've got to take care of them. We've got to tell them, show them the way when they are being given this kind of feedback. And we need to constantly share their work so that everybody gets to know about them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think being there for each other, having each other's backs, I think really helps. And that point that you made, for a woman, you're really funny. I'm sure that as women, as working professionals, we've heard this in different contexts. For a woman, you're really smart. For a woman, you are so intelligent, etc., etc. So, what is one very ridiculous or obnoxious comment that you've heard during the course of your career? This question is open to the panel. So, what is one such obnoxious comment that you've heard during the course of your career?
I think for me it is you're too pushy.
You're too pushy.
Yeah. Because sometimes what happens is that I know that I'm always going to be the second choice. So it's important that you become the first choice. And to become the first choice, in spite of being talented, in spite of knowing that you know that pretty well, you will never be the first choice. So for me, it was like to prove a point and to say that, you know, I am good at this and I know this is my work. I'm not asking for something which is not my forte. I'm asking for something which is completely my forte, and this is my work. It's just that I have not pushed it enough for you to know about it, because someone else may have pushed it and you know about him more. So it's important that you know about me too. So that becomes pushy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's not pushy. That's asking for what you deserve.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that intention and that action towards equal collaboration is very important. That brings me to you, Amrita. I think you starred in one of the most loved short films last year, which was The Mirror, directed by Konkana Sen Sharma. If you haven't seen it already, I think you should. And we had a conversation shortly after the film release.
Divya, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm really sorry to interrupt. We've just been notified that a drill is happening. There are police commandos that might enter. So please do not panic. It's a regular drill that's happening. We've just been notified. So I wanted to inform you guys before that. Yes, so sorry. Please continue, Divya. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you, Shruti. This just got even...
Women claiming their power is causing this? I mean, what?
So this just got way more exciting. And, you know, Amrita, like I was mentioning, we spoke about how the vibe of positivity and collaboration that you had on that set, you know, made you feel so secure and comfortable in what was a very challenging role. So you've been an actor for so many years now. You worked across industries, across languages. How common or how rare is it for women to find such roles or such working environments that are so empowering?
I would say things are changing, and things are changing for good. When I was younger, I was very, like, I keep talking about this. Dipti Naval had once said that, you know, she didn't want to do, like, in our industry, after you cross 30, you're slotted, now you do mother's roles. Yeah. So there are different boxes. So I'm in a good way, I'm very ziddi. And there are we all are ziddi, I would say. What you were saying, pushy. Yeah. So in a good sense, I can see all my ziddi, you know, friends here. So I was like, I'm not going to get myself, you know, slotted like that. So what am I going to do? And then OTT happened. Then I was like, okay. Then Sacred Games came to me, and it was a male role first. In the novel, it is a male character. It was changed into a female. And I was very happy ki, oh, she's a boss, and she's, you know, transformed into a female character. I was happy. Then Dhamaka came to me. It was a male character. It was transformed to a female character. I was like, oh wow, the male characters. But धीरे-धीरे जिद भी ये होती गई कि now I don't want to have this, oh wow, a male character is getting transformed into a female and I'm getting good role. Yeah. Now I want characters to be, you know, created just for me, which are originally for me. Not like, oh, आपको मिल रहा था, मुझे मिल गया. You know, so like, this is how, and then, of course, when I see a film like Neelbate Sannada, it's not like that, right? I mean, that character is so strong that it is not, so I'm not saying, yeah, but it was a beginning. Still, Sacred Games and Dhamaka, I would say, it was a beginning for a woman actor who has, you know, post 30, who is not getting slotted in a mother's role. So still, I would say it was positive for me. But now when I look back, I'm like, no, I want more. And in good sense, I want more. And for that matter, as she was saying, I don't want to say ki woman oriented, it should be just a good role. You know, it need not be a woman or man or whatever it is. Generally, there should be roles, and now that is happening. Women-centric OTT or films are also like, Crew is doing good, for example. Today, you know, yesterday I saw Vidya's film, in which some such characters are coming on screen who are taking some such decisions, like, for example, she doesn't want to have a kid. I'm not saying there's anything wrong having a kid, but like, such characters are coming on screen and they are, you know, coming in commercial space as well, now these characters are written with a lot of nuances, I would say. So it's not only now getting transformed into this. And now coming back to your question, yes, the atmosphere also is becoming more and more free. And I would say I was fortunate that, you know, I'm in this era where there's somebody like Ashwini, there is a Zoya Akhtar, there is a Konkana Sen Sharma, so women telling very powerful stories. Because for us actors, we need these creators. And that is why I'm so grateful that I'm in Times, so that, you know, where powerful stories, women's stories are being told, and they are coming our way as characters. So that is making us making us feel very free, I would say. And now these slots are also getting broken, right? For example, when I did Gully Boy, it was not a mother's role. She was a mother because it was written by somebody called Zoya Akhtar and Rima. It was a mother who dared to say to her husband कि क्या तूने कभी सोचा था मुझे कैसे छूना है? You know, it's such a powerful statement. She's saying that. So she becomes Razia. She doesn't become a mother. And so now I'm also happy that these slots are being broken. Like, for example, you mentioned love stories. So I was not playing a maid. Of course, she was a maid, but she was a maid who is trying to understand her sexuality. And she had a husband who asked her कि क्या तुझे मजा आता था? When she was watching you, were you enjoying that? And when she says, yes, he's not hitting her, you're Gandhi or whatever like that. He is accepting that, and she is accepting that, and then Tilu's character, of course, Ishita. So there are these women who are accepting something which was supposed to be taboo, and you're not supposed to do that. So I think things are definitely going freer and more powerful.
Right. In fact, this reminds me of a social media trend that I had come across about men written by women. It's basically spoke about how a lot of male on-screen characters which are written or created by women, those characters are far more sensitive, far more nuanced, and even broad-minded. Like, for example, Pankaj Tripathi's character in Bareli Ki Barfi. So, Ashwini, I want to ask you, what is your thought on that? And conversely, how different is it when men write women characters?
I will have a little slight different point of view here, is because most of the scripts I have written are written with men. So I have like 3 men in my life who, one is my husband and the other 2 are my writers. And we all write together. And the beauty is that you spend about a year writing because you're really fighting all the time. You're fighting all the time for a good reason, is because they look from the male point of view and they write the script, and then I look from the female point of view and I'm saying, no, this cannot be like this. So that's a very good debate, is because in Bareli Ki Barfi, it was very clear. You had 2 male characters and 1 female character. And the male characters were very diverse. And then you had a father who was Pankaj Tripathi, who came from my experience that I wanted to see a change in the way a father and a daughter have a conversation. Because in our country, when you see a father and a daughter beyond an age, they don't even like hug each other. They don't even have the hard conversations. I have seen that, and what I felt was that I wanted to have that conversation where when people sit in a theater, what are we as storytellers? We entertain, but at the same time we aspire. We want to make sure that our stories are archival. We take insights from real life and we want to put it into screen in an entertaining way. And that's the kind of stories I want to say. When I felt I wanted to create the father-daughter relationship in a small town, there were 3 things which were in my mind, and it was very strategic. The 3 things were that anyone who comes to the theater, the girl needs to say, you know what, I love to have a father like this. And, or she should say that, oh, my father's relationship of mine is the same. I can talk anything to my father. Or the father should say that I think I need to change my perspective with my daughter. Or I have a great relationship with my daughter, I need to make it better. Or the mother should say that, you need to be more, you need to know what's happening in your daughter's life. Yeah. So it was very strategic, this kind of story that you need to create. Because after that, when you have articles written on the insight of why this relationship works, or what are the different kind of father-daughter relationships, that's where I think I have passed as a storyteller, is because I want my stories to have conversations. I want things to be written about. When Bitty tells her father that, ladka banna it's like such a curse to be a boy, to be a girl. I wish I was a boy. And he says that, what, ये मैं नहीं मानता हूँ कि लड़की होना बुरा है. But समाज ऐसा बोलता है. And you stay in a society. You have to coexist in a society. So when you coexist in a society, you do whatever you want. I'm there to protect you. But you still need to be here. Right. So that's the relationship. Like, she's going on a bike and all he says is in this one sentence, ये किसके साथ आई हो? It's like कोई आया था मेरे को बाइक में को लिफ्ट चाहिए था आ गया वो. Then he only tells her one thing, that पैर दोनों एक साथ बैठ के नहीं बैठ सकती थी. Like, you have just come on a bike. Could you just put your two legs together and sit? Right. It's just a very simple thing. But he says it's okay. And that is what I think needs to be created.
Right.
It is about that nok joke. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. I now want to steer the conversation towards something which I believe is at the crux of the decisions that go behind how films get made and what films get made, which is commerce, which is finance. And as a producer, Malvika, when you're taking a call or when you're taking a decision about the commercial viability of a project, to what extent does gender representation and inclusivity matter in the larger scheme of things?
Thank you. So, firstly, I want to, thank all the lovely women out here for inspiring us. And I can see so many stories bubbling from the awards that have, Ashwini, I think there needs to be a movie on you ASAP. Yeah. And maybe this Ashwini...
I already thought about it is because I just stay 5 minutes away from the freeway. And I was like, oh God, I've grown. I've been staying there for almost 25 years.
I'm seeing so many inspiring characters and stories right here in this room in the past half an hour. So just wanted to start off on that note. Thank you to Forbes for organizing this lovely...
And also I must say that, हम रोज जाते हैं रोड पे, रोज गाली देते हैं. क्योंकि इतना सारा construction हो रहा है, क्या-क्या चीजें हो रही है. But honestly, today when I see your face and when I see you and I know that you are the one behind this, which I didn't know till today, I swear on God, I'm not ever going to crib now. Yeah.
So, no, I also want to kind of point out that we're sitting in a very momentous occasion today because we've just had a film in our industry, Crew, which has become the highest grossing female-led film of all time in India. Yes. So it's very, sort of relevant that we're having this conversation. So yes, gender and inclusion plays a big part in our process when we're greenlighting films. I think these days, the audience has also evolved, right? So when you have a female character in a film who's a token character who's just, like we say, prancing around trees, nobody really accepts that anymore, or we hope that, that's evolving. So how characters are written, like Amrita said, from the very inception, when we're sitting with directors, when we're sitting with writers, when we're sitting in what we call our boardrooms and brainstorming what should we make next, there's a big focus as to what is the female character, what is she going to be doing. And of course, as we all know, there are about 8 to 10 male stars that still dominate our box office. So everybody says, "Kaun dekhne jayega?" Even if it's, your top stars like Deepika Padukone or Alia Bhatt, frontlining movies, I think we're still not quite there yet in the film industry. For someone to say, okay, if Ranbir Kapoor can do 500 plus crores with Animal, why can't a Deepika Padukone movie do that. You know, so I think we're all striving towards that. And I know as we're speaking actively, there are, you know, not only in our production house, but other producers actively thinking of stories like, why can't there be a big action-led spectacle film with female stars? You know, so I think these conversations are happening every day. It's just about getting the business model right sometimes. And I think Crew has proven that it can happen. So we'll hopefully be seeing a lot more of that.
Right. And producers are taking more risks with more fresh content, more experimentative storytelling. But when it comes to, again, gender representation, are there still certain dilemmas that you do face as a producer?
Yeah, I think it's the whole, when we're talking about like the theatrical box office trends in India, right? If you go through all historical data, the highest grossing, like opening day female-led films, like people look at, the industry works on hard numbers. So people will look at, okay, a Gangubai did 10 crores opening day, so can we be spending 100 crores? You know, it's a constant commerce equation because like OTT rights, TV rights, it's all based on what did those box office, you know, benchmarks, what are they currently? Yeah. So those are the dilemmas. Like we all, I mean, I'm a female, we have 5 or 6, you know, strong creative members in our team who are female, and we all want to tell female-driven stories, right? But it's often the commerce that holds us back.
Right.
You know?
But somewhere I think the OTT platforms have really helped to break that barrier.
Definitely.
Because sometimes you get scripts and you're looking, because I get so many, like it starts off like we have a female-oriented script.
Yeah.
But I want to read it, it's because it's nice to just read. But when you read, and there are 2 things which come into mind is one, what is going to be the budget of the film? Because the budget of the film is equally representing what is going to do the box office numbers. Yeah. Also, I feel somewhere what is put out in terms of, you can make all kinds of films, and it is important that all kinds of films are celebrated. For me, a film which is made for 15 with a woman leading but has a damn good story and makes 20 should be celebrated. Absolutely. Everything cannot be 50 plus, everything cannot be 100 plus. So I think that number has to be celebrated. What is happening right now is no one is understanding the ATL, BTL, and then we all are looking for 50 and Correct. 60 and 100. But if you celebrate 15 to 20, that itself is a success. Yeah. So that goes for the theatrical. The more important thing is that when you go to the OTT platforms, they are celebrating women-led films, which has become a mandate also at OTT platforms, especially at the very famous ones where they really like greenlighting women-led films and women who are part of the process. Right. So they have, correct me if I'm wrong, so they have a place which is a thing where you have to have female directors directing few films in the year. You have to have female storytellers, you have to have female cinematographers. So that's become a mandate. It's a mandate come from a corporate company. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Right. So my last few questions, which I want to throw open to the panel, starting with first and foremost, this is something that I've been asking as a journalist as well over the years, and it's also something that we've been talking about in the corporate sector as well. But when, in the entertainment industry specifically, when will we start paying women more equitably? And when's that going to happen?
When mindsets change and when there's no, like she said, like you don't have to say female comic. You should be not saying female actor. Like we're all the same. When everyone realizes that a female and a male will bring the same merit and talent to the table. You know, it's a very, I think.
You know, I have a point of view here is because Malvika and I have worked together.
Yeah.
We have made a film together. I don't have an issue there. Mm-hmm. And Malvika, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It's because as a storyteller, it's what I get onto the table. And you're as good as the kind of stories you're saying. So a success of a movie is not in your hands as a director. So you may be a damn good storyteller, but that day rain happens and there is something happened and people didn't go to the theater to watch your film. So that is a possibility, but that doesn't reduce your capability and your talent as a storyteller. So I have never faced that issue. I have been paid according to the kind of film you're going to be making.
Right.
So if it is a large scale film, then my fees is according to the fees of the film. Is because if it is a large scale film which is being mounted with big actors and a big scale of production, then my remuneration is equally proportionate to that budget.
Yep.
But if I'm making a beautiful film where I feel that why should I take so much of money when I need to make that film and I need to see the light of the day? So that's a conversation. So I don't feel that I have been shortchanged there ever. And I'm very happy to say that. Also as writers, I don't think so we have been shortchanged ever.
Right.
We have always been paid for the kind of work we get. But it's always clear on what you're taking up. Sometimes you have big films you take up and sometimes you're taking up small films. So your remuneration will change accordingly to what you are putting out there and the amount of time you're going to be spending on it. So if I'm spending like 3 years on a film where I'm going to take 1 year to write and the other next 2 years going to make it, of course it's the same in terms of what I'm going to get paid. Yeah. But I've never been shortchanged because of my gender. I can say that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I think
thing.
we're lucky. I'm lucky to be in a place where I've worked with Ronnie Screwvala, I've worked with Sid Roy Kapoor, I've worked with Malvika, I've worked with a whole lot of good producers who have never shortchanged me. Yeah.
Right. So, Kusha and Amrita, has this been your experience as well?
I feel like if you are being not paid your worth, if that scenario happens, I think you should just ask. I think a lot of people are not asking because they're thinking they're going to lose work. They're thinking they're going to be thought of as too much. They're thinking maybe this person will think that I'm tough to work with. If those are your reasons, you can always ask. I have always asked if I'm not being paid well. I was on a project where the women's blues were not great and I asked for it and that project shut down. So after a year, we worked again together. So there is no harm in asking. What's the worst that can happen, right? They'll probably say no. They'll probably say this is what you deserve. But if you think there is that little scope where you can ask, there's no harm in asking.
And for me, I think my relationship with money is changing, I would say. First, yeah, because I come from theater, I would be like, mujhe maza chahiye. But now I think, yeah, my managers would tell me, aapki market price badhni chahiye, you know, and then now I keep quiet and I want my market price to go higher and higher also. So, and I'm happy that it is going, that thing is also working for me. And I think that is also important. Now I'm becoming, like, I'm understanding the business of it also, as earlier it was only art, I would say.
Thank you so much. I think it's time. And thank you for being such a wonderful panelists and having such a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divya, for guiding that enriching conversation. And thank you, Ashwini, Amrita, Malvika, and Kusha for your insights. We look forward to experiencing your enriching work in the future as well. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for our panelists. Malvika, I would request you to kindly remain on stage for our next set of felicitations. I'd also like to welcome Bijal Ajinkya, partner Khaitan and Company, to join us on stage to give away the awards with Malvika. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for him. I think he'll be joining us soon, Malvika. Moving on, our next self-made powerhouse has enabled early-stage detection of breast cancer using an innovative, non-invasive and radiation-free technology. Dr. Geeta Manjunath, the founder and CEO of Niramai Health Analytics, uses AI to make breast cancer detection affordable and accessible even in rural India. Dr. Manjunath couldn't join us today, but I would like to welcome Surajit Mukherjee, the Chief Business Officer at Niramai, to accept the award on her behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for them. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Many congratulations to the team at Niramai. Next up, I'd like to call on stage influencer, content creator turned actor, Kusha Kapila. Kusha has captivated audiences for years with her sharp wit and vibrant character portrayal. Her transition to acting in films and web series have further showcased her versatile talent and that she's only getting started. Honored on the Forbes India Self-Made W-Power list in 2022. Once again, give a huge round of applause for Kusha Kapila. Many congratulations. The financial sector is rapidly evolving and women are increasingly at the forefront, reshaping this dynamic field with their leadership and insights. Next up, we honor Ritu Arora, CEO and CIO of Alliance Investment Management, who is focusing on boosting investments and commitments towards India to meet its climate action goals. Ritu couldn't join us this evening, but her parents and brother are here to represent her as we celebrate her accomplishments. Please give a huge round of applause as we welcome Usha Gangrade, Ritu's mother, to accept the award on her behalf. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Next up, it's with great pleasure that we recognize our next honoree, Smita Deora, the co-founder and co-CEO of Lead School. Under her leadership, Lead School has embraced innovative technology and approaches to transform educational experiences for students across India. Her dedication to improving educational access and quality through scalable solutions is enviable. Smita couldn't be here tonight, and to accept the award on her behalf, I'd like to welcome Saloni Sharma, Head of HR, Lead School, to accept the award. A huge round of applause for Team Lead. Congratulations and thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you so much, Malvika and ma'am, for doing the honors. As we conclude this segment, let's give a huge round of applause for all the winners. We sincerely thank all of you for being here to make this a momentous occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring this unforgettable evening to a close, I want to express my sincere gratitude to each one of you for joining us at the Forbes India Self-Made W-Power event. Together, we've ignited a spark of inspiration and empowerment that will continue illuminating our paths. This event has been a celebration of resilience, empowerment, and the remarkable achievements of women who have boldly shaped their destinies. These narratives have not only inspired us, but also challenged us to broaden our perspectives and embrace a rich diversity of thought and experience. Their influence stretches across all facets of life, reminding us of the extraordinary impact women continue to make globally. A special acknowledgement to our sponsors and partners, Barclays Private Wealth, Workspace partner IndyCube, and associate partners Ample Mission and Reliance Industries Limited, whose invaluable support has made this vision a reality. Your commitment to celebrating the achievements of women has played a crucial role in the success of tonight's event. As we part ways, let's take the energy and insights gleaned from this evening into our personal lives and workplaces. May the stories of ambition, innovation, and breakthroughs shared tonight light our paths and guide our journeys. I would request all our winners to come up for a photo op. Request you all to kindly come on stage. I'd request all the winners to kindly come up on stage, please, for a quick photo op. Ladies and gentlemen, one final round of applause for all the winners. Request you all to kindly come up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the applause going. Our winners for tonight. Request Aarti, sir, kindly come on stage, please. Congratulations once again. Thank you, everyone. We welcome you to join us for dinner.